Louisiana Beer Reviews Special Edition Maudite. This is from Unibroue, Chambly, Province, Quebec, and it is a double. And it's showing these guys who are in the canoe, and they're damned. Oh man, should have lived a good life. Double, 22 bitterness units, 8% alcohol. See, it's got it on the label, guys. 22 bitterness units, 8% alcohol, bottle re-fermented. So they add live yeast to the bottle. Why can't all beer companies do that? Well, they can do it. Why don't they do it? Imported by Unibroue USA, Tarrytown, New York. So it's coming in through New York. Best by date. It's in 2025. So everything you need on the beer bottle, and it's a full 12 ounces, not a 11.2 ounce bottle or 11.5. It's a twist cap, but I'll never be able to twist it. They have twist caps, but they're put on their bottle with so much torque. You can't hope to get them off, just like the shipyard beers, bottle beers. Twist caps in theory. All right, so you see, it's funny. Silver foil top. Now they're showing a glass similar to this. This is a Negro Modelo, now called Modelo Negro glass. It's a similar shape to this, so I figured I'd use it. It's been years, almost 10 years since I reviewed this beer, so this is a special edition, a revisit. Don't really see their beers around Louisiana anymore. Every once in a while I will. They're not common, and there's sediment galore down here. I gotta save some beer for the swish and pour. I was in Birmingham, Alabama last month, and they had this 6-pack variety, one of each variety, for $15.99. In this day and age, that's a great deal. Thick, off-white, spongy head, ivory head, I guess. It's a tan appearance, somewhat translucent, but definitely not transparent. So let's do the swish and pour, and then it's going to cloud up like craziness. Then it'll be just totally opaque. Oh man. All right, good. It's loosened up. Here we go. The dregs. Maudite. All right, been too long, been too long. Used to get them right here in this town, and then that ended many years ago. That's the case for so many craft beers around here. I mean, they'll be here on the shelf, and I'll say, I'll check them out later, and then later it doesn't happen because the next time I go look for it, it's gone. And we get so much turnover here, it's crazy. Brown bread crust, but not dark bread, just brown bread. Spiced bread, and the yeast is giving it that spice. I was doing some mezcals, and I was saying, why is this one so different from the others? And I thought it was I didn't mention it in the video, I got sidetracked in my talking, but I thought it was the yeast strain that made it unusual. You see, the yeast a lot of times can make a big difference. Oh no, it was the whiskey I was talking about. Dickel whiskey beer, whiskey beers. Okay, Dickel whiskeys. They have an unusual flavor, and they're using the same grain as other companies, corn, rye, malted barley. And I was going to say that I think it's their yeast strain. It's a unique yeast strain. Yeah, so yeasty. There's not much fruit, maybe some dates. Yes, good double. Let's go taste Chaz. You see, this company, Unibroue, they try to more or less mimic Belgian styles. Nothing wrong with that. And they taste like that. Prickly carbonation. And southern Belgium is largely French speaking. Quebec is mostly French speaking, and so there's a commonality there. High medium body, dry finish. It's not slick in the mouthfeel. It's watery in the mouthfeel. Like you get the water, not the like some beers that'd be slick and slimy even if you. But you hate to use that word because it comes across sounding terrible. Although it won't feel terrible. Sweetness, moderate, 2.5 at the most, 3 out of 5 sugar cubes. I'm going to say 2.5 out of 5 sugar cubes. Bitterness, 22 IBUs. Bitterness, 1.5 out of 5 hop cones. 1.5 out of 5 hop cones. Heck, Milwaukee's Best Light is 2 out of 5 hop cones on that English scale, and you can notice that too. Although the technical number I think is lower. The IBU number I think is lower than 22. I know it is. It has to be. But those numbers don't always reflect the real world experience. And the real world experience here of bitterness is quite low. A little bit of dates. But honestly, the main flavor here is bread. Bread. 5 times. But a delicious bread. I like doubles. Prefer quads, but doubles are good. Chimay Premier is a good example. A lot of the surviving Trappist companies make the good doubles. Some of the Abbey beers, which are made not by Abbeys, but on behalf of Abbeys, make good doubles, like Augustiner and Lef. I think the Brewing is a double. There is an actual Lef Abbey in Belgium. They just found that it was more cost effective for them to lease out the rights to their beer production, split the profits with a big brewing company. Much like the Christian Brothers brandy company did. The Christian Brothers, they run schools across the world. But colleges, high schools, elementary, but they, like in New Orleans, the Christian Brothers School, but they used to make brandy to raise money for the religious order. But Brother Theodore, who was an old monk, a monk who had made their brandy for decades, he became very old in 1987, I believe it was. He said, I have to retire, I can't do it anymore. And then they really didn't have any other brother that wanted to do it or could do it. So they contracted out with Heaven Hill to take over production of the Christian Brothers brandy, with the understanding that it would be marketed in a respectful manner, and of course that a certain percentage of the profits will go to the order. That makes sense. Okay, but this Maudite and Unibroue was never constructed that way to benefit an abbey or by Trappist monks or anything like that. It's just they're following the style of the Abbey ales and Belgian Abbey ales, and they do a great job. They also sold out to a bigger company, who turned around and sold out to a bigger company than themselves. But that's a common occurrence in the beer, wine, and liquor world. So if you have a hang-up about that, you might not want to get too big into that hobby, because you're going to get disappointed more often than not. But my opinion about it is, as long as the beer tastes good, you just evaluate it according to that. Now, if they take it over and they ruin it, that's a different story, and that has happened on occasion. But I don't think they ruined it here. I don't even think they interfered with it. They just own it. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as the money's coming, you do you, and we'll stay away from you. Now, if you doing you means declining profits and or even losses, well, then we may have, it could be a different story, right? That's what any company. Anchor is a good example. People say that the new owners ruined them. I don't know if that's really the case. That's what some people said. I think the people that bought them just basically was a situation of putting their money on a bad horse. Anchor had been in decline for years. Not it really anything that was their fault. It was just that beer styles had changed, and just like in England, people were getting away from traditional styles. Brown ales, porters, steam beers, as they call them, common, California common, Christmas seasonals, and you know, they didn't really want to get into peanut butter, strawberry, sour, seltzers, hazy IPAs. They wanted to make the Liberty Ale, at one time Double Liberty, fabulous, and so forth. But they died, and they did try to change later, but then people were hostile to that. They changed their labels, started making canned beer, and people didn't receive it too well. But I would have kept buying Anchor if they'd have stayed around here in this parish. We don't have counties in Louisiana, we have parishes, but their beers disappeared from this parish years and years ago. So people just more or less forgot about them. Unibroue, same thing. They disappeared from this parish years ago, around the same time as Anchor, and yeah, people forgot about them. I'm not going to fret over if they survive or not. It's not my issue, but I do enjoy the products, and I'm glad I ran across the variety pack. That's about the end of the story on that. So you may know that European import beers have declined, have undergone a serious decline over the last 10 years. With the onset of more and more American craft beers of varying quality levels, to say the least. It's a shame because there were so many wonderful beers coming out of Europe and Latin America, but they weren't trendy in the sense, you know, they didn't have pomegranate, peanut butter. They weren't barrel aged generally, you know, whiskey barrel aged, bourbon barrel. So but then the whole craft beer things began to collapse in on itself. As I said it would, just by virtue of the nature of the business, how it was running, you know. Oh well, this is fabulous, and doesn't taste like birthday cake. Doesn't taste like breakfast cereal. It's not hazy in the modern sense of it. It's cloudy more than hazy. You know what I'm saying? It's not aged in bourbon barrels. It's just an old traditional style from the late Middle Ages, I guess. And I think it's wonderful, and I'm going to go 95 out of 100, 9.5 out of 10. Cheers to traditional beers. I'm not a fanatic on that either. You know, I'm not doing the American ACMRA. I'm not doing ACMRA, American Campaign for Real Ale. You know, but I like to try different styles. So, Les Bon Temps Relais, a most excellent product, 8%. So, well, you're not going to guzzle it anyway because the price is going to prohibit that, right? And I'm going to end this review by saying, y'all go to Chambly, Quebec, province, Canada, and take a brewery tour.